One of the new trends with fitness influencers is to now claim that doing anything over 8 reps is completely useless, doesn't build any more muscle. There's no point. It just creates more fatigue, and therefore you're just going to overtrain easier, and we get everything we need from 8 reps and less. And to me, that's just silly. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today, but a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, be greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed or following, please do so, and please drop me a comment down below stating your own experiences with this of using a variety of rep ranges. And to me, this is just ludicrous, both historically, both looking at some of the best lifters, looking at my variety of clients. And I find that hilarious because some of my strongest lifters, like if you guys remember, I had clips up of Perry and some of my other guys all doing high reps. What I mean strong, Nicola and Perry, I both had benching in the 400s, and they were not 300-pound guys. Perry was like 215. Perry was squatting over 600. Nicola was deadlifting over 700. They did tons of stuff above 10 reps. Okay. And so again, to me, this idea, they're even talking hypertrophy. These are all hypertrophy oriented guys, and I'm here as a strength coach, literally having my elite power lifters do sets of 10 and 12 and sometimes 15 or 20 rep sets, right? And so it's just ludicrous. In fact, some of my strongest lifters only did 1 to 3 reps for some stuff, like a small amount of their work, maybe 10% of their work, sometimes some speed work for very low reps with lightweight, then everything 10 plus. I'm talking everything, leg pressing, incline, rows, pull-ups, their hamstring work, everything. And these are guys who were benching over 400, squatting 600 plus, deadlifting in the 700 or more, right? Some of them literally doing 10 rep sets on deadlifts. Like one of the guys there was doing 550, that's 250 kilograms for sets of 10, and I put up clips of him doing that back then. So to me, this is insane. Like, what are you guys even talking about? And I get what they're saying. They're trying to say, well, look, it's just generating extra metabolic fatigue and calcium ion fatigue. Okay, but that's not a big deal. Like, if we're at a point to where your recovery is so bad that you can't handle some high rep sets, that it's somehow interfering with your recovery, how bad is your lifestyle? I mean, yes, it's a certain amount of fatigue, but there's also a different fatigue that comes with doing too much really low rep work also. And I find very much to be the case that most of my lifters can only handle so much heavy work. It's a relatively small amount. The only way that we can do mostly heavy work is if we keep the volumes excruciatingly low. Okay? And I get that. If you're going to do, what you'll see some guys like Paul Carter doing, and I'm not saying it's wrong. It can work for people with very limited recovery, very limited time. I don't really have a problem with what he's saying. Look, 3 sets done twice a week per muscle group, 5 to 8 reps, progressive overload. Yeah, for someone who doesn't have a great and perfect recovery situation, I actually think that can be absurdly effective. To be fair, like it actually works, right? It does work. Okay, now that being said, people who really are focused on recovery and optimizing recovery, it's not a big deal. We can do more volume than that. They can do way more reps. And I've even had times where I was at my biggest and strongest, a little bit younger and eating more, because I'm like 211 right now in this video you guys are seeing here. But I was like 240. I was doing 20 rep sets of squats and good mornings and stuff. But I was also, if you guys remember, I hit like that 605 on the cambered bar. On a back squat was deficit deadlifting, like 625, stuff like that, right? But I was doing sets of 20 all the time, even on compound movements. But definitely my reverse hypers, my belt squats, my back squats, my good mornings. I was doing sets of 20 on rows. Okay, actually I think at one point I hit 22 bodyweight pull-ups on a set on camera once. So again, ludicrous. And people have always gotten big. Getting big on high reps works just fine. As long as progressive overload is present, you can get big on 5s, you can get big on 10s, you can get big on 20s. As long as progressive overload is present, meaning you're either adding reps or adding weight, you're going to grow from it. But the thing that we also have to think about is how much of our joints and stuff can handle too much big heavy weight. Okay, and this is where I would argue there is definitely a use for the lighter weight stuff. Perfect example, doing something like skull crushers. Like if you're going to do something like that that's hard on the tendons, phenomenal tricep exercise. You get too strong doing 6 to 8 reps on that, I wish you good luck. Same thing, you guys really want to stand here and do curls in that rep range? Big free weight curls? Your tendons are not going to like it, especially a lot of the isolation movements, especially isolation work. But I don't think in this video here I'm really doing anything. Everything is 8+ that I'm doing in the background here because this is from some training I was doing here. This video will be up later also. But yeah, it's the issue is it's just not going to fatigue you that much. And I understand they're like, well, it could be unnecessary fatigue, but it's really not, because you also get a different type of fatigue from going too heavy all the time. And it does beat you up, right? If you're doing 5s and 6s all the time on everything, it absolutely pounds your joints into the ground. And anyone who's done it for any length of time knows that. So there's absolutely a use for different rep ranges. And my point I always make to people, everything creates fatigue. You're going to have all types of fatigue. You're going to have differing fatigue. Yes, you're going to have metabolic fatigue from the higher reps that you have to recover from. You're also going to have pounding on your joints that you're going to have to recover from the really heavy low rep stuff. So it's kind of like pick your poison, or maybe spread that work out a little bit. You can either rotate it in phases, or you can rotate it through different workouts or certain exercises to where you go, okay, maybe I'm not going to do the really high reps on a back squat. Perfectly fair. But when you get to that leg press or that leg extension or that hamstring curl, you know what? Doing some 10 to 20 rep stuff makes a lot of sense. And it has worked, and no one has ever struggled to get jacked in any generation doing really high reps. And even combining really high reps with lower work. And in fact, there have been many champion power lifters, strongmen, and bodybuilders who have used all of them with great success and been some of the greatest lifters and bodybuilders all through history, going all the way back to before the drugs were even wide used. Obviously, people say, well, with drugs, okay, fine. You can go back to the 50s and 60s. When it was a lot less of the case, and guys did just fine doing sets of 10 on all sorts of stuff. A lot of them did 5s, a lot of them did 10s on other supplemental stuff. And look at the old Reg Park successful bodybuilding stuff, doing everything from 5x5s all the way up to 25 reps on some of the exercises. Okay? And people got big and strong and jacked doing that just fine. This is complete nonsense. Complete nonsense. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative. I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.